All right, today we are diving deep into one of the most intense and, honestly, morally complicated stories from the book of Genesis. We're talking about the story of Dinah. It's a tale that starts with what looks like young love and just explodes into a citywide massacre. And that's really the big question here, isn't it? How did things escalate so far, so fast? We're going to walk through what happened, who was involved, what they were thinking, and the absolutely brutal consequences. Let's get into it. So our story kicks off with two young people, Dinah, who is the daughter of the patriarch Jacob, and Shechem, who happens to be a local prince. Dinah decides to go out and meet some of the women of the land. She runs into Shechem, and they end up spending the night together. This one event is the spark that lights the fuse. Okay, so to really get why this was such a huge deal, we have to understand this concept of defilement. In this ancient world, a woman losing her virginity before marriage wasn't just frowned upon, it could be a complete catastrophe. We're talking social ruin. It could make her totally unmarriable, stripping her of her value, her future, basically leaving her with nothing. So you see, for Dinah and her family, this was a massive, massive crisis. But here's where the story takes a turn you might not expect. This wasn't a simple hit-and-run situation. The text actually says that Shechem's soul cleaved to Dinah. He was head over heels in love with her. He treated her with kindness, and immediately he set out to do the honorable thing, which was to marry her and make everything right. So instead of this escalating into an immediate conflict, Shechem and his father, who's the king, they approached Dinah's family with a formal and incredibly generous peace offering. Their goal is to turn this disaster into a powerful political alliance. And it's Shechem's father, Hamor, who lays it all out. He doesn't just ask for Dinah. He's proposing a complete merger of their two peoples. This is some serious high-stakes diplomacy. I mean, just look at what's on the table here. This is way more than just a marriage proposal. It's a full-on treaty. It means they can intermarry, share the land, trade, and get rich together. He's basically offering to make Jacob's nomadic family part of the ruling class. They're being handed the keys to the kingdom. And then Shechem himself jumps in and doubles down. He essentially tells them, name your price. Ask for any dowry, any gift you want, just please let me marry the woman I love. So at this point, a peaceful, even profitable resolution seems like a done deal, right? Well, that is not what happens. Not even close. Because now, Dinah's brothers enter the negotiations, and they are not interested in peace treaties or alliances. They have something else entirely on their minds. So while Shechem is motivated by love and his father by diplomacy, Dinah's brothers are driven by just one thing: pure rage. In their eyes, what happened to their sister was a profound insult to their honor, to their family, to their whole people, and no amount of money or land could ever make that right. And this is where their deception really comes into play. Publicly, they agree to the whole deal. They say all the right things. Yes, we'll become one people with you. But underneath it all, it's a lie, a carefully crafted trap with only one purpose: revenge. So here's the trap they lay. They add one condition to the deal. For them to become one people, every single man in Shechem city must be circumcised. Now, Shechem is so eager to make this happen that he agrees and gets his whole city on board. But the brothers knew exactly what this would mean. They planned to wait until the third day, when the men would be in pain, feverish, and at their absolute weakest. Their plan was cold, it was calculated, and it was deadly. And on that third day, just as they planned, when the men of the city were completely unable to defend themselves, the brothers sprang their trap. The time for talking was over. It was time for vengeance. And the really astonishing part? This whole citywide slaughter was led by just two guys. Two of Dinah's full brothers, Simeon and Levi, grabbed their swords and walked right into that defenseless city. What followed was just total devastation. Simeon and Levi killed every single male in the city, and that included King Hamor and Prince Shechem. They went in, they got their sister Dinah, and they brought her out. Then the other brothers showed up, and they didn't kill, they plundered. They took everything, all the wealth, all the livestock, and they even took the women and children captive. So after all this carnage, the conflict isn't over. In fact, now it's boiling over inside the family itself. Their father, Jacob, is absolutely horrified. but maybe not for the reasons you'd think. You see, Jacob's first reaction isn't about the morality of the massacre. He's just terrified of the fallout. He's basically saying, "What have you done? You've made us hated by everyone around here. We're a small group, and now they're going to come together and wipe us out." His main concern is pure survival. But his sons, they just throw this chilling, rhetorical question right back in his face. For them, this was never about survival or politics. It was about honor. As far as they were concerned, their sister had been treated like a prostitute, and in their minds, no response could possibly be too extreme. They had zero regrets. And this one violent act defined Simeon and Levi for the rest of their lives. Decades later, when their father Jacob was on his deathbed giving his final blessings to his sons, he blessed the others. But for these two, he had only condemnation, cursing their fierce anger and their cruelty. Their bloody vengeance cost them their father's blessing. So this all brings us right back to where we started. A prince's genuine offer of love, of alliance, of making things right, was met with a lie, a betrayal, and a horrific massacre. So, what do you think? Was this a justified defense of a sister's honor in a brutal world? Or was it an act of collective punishment that spiraled so far beyond any sense of justice? The story is told, but the judgment, well, that's left up to us.